already impacting our daily lives. Again, you use Google on your phone, you're using AI. We use face recognition to get onto your phone. That's AI. We're using Google Translate. That's AI. I keep plugging Google. Anything to do with speech processing, video processing, image processing, text processing, natural language processing is AI. The buzz at the moment is generative AI, ChatGPT. People, it's a bit like Hoover is to vacuum cleaners. ChatGPT has become like the Hoover of AI, in that everybody now talks about AI and they mean ChatGPT, which is actually a very clever interface developed by OpenAI to give everybody access, anyone who wants to have access to their generative AI model, and you can talk. It feels like you can talk to the system, ask it questions, and you get answers back in a natural language. You can do it with images and video as well, and it all feels very clever, but it's not at all sentient, and it's not very intelligent either. Take for example face recognition. We still haven't really worked out what the rules and regulations should be around when people can apply face recognition technology. You know, did anyone ask you whether you wanted the face recognition technology on your phone? You get offered it as a system download, and then you can choose to use it. So face recognition and surveillance, we all know this happens in China, but it's happening in a creeping way in Europe and the US as well. Our security forces are using them. But on the other hand, I like the fact that there's a CCTV camera in the car park at night, so I feel safer. And all these new technologies and the technologies that are going to come in the future, we don't even know about yet. New AI technologies that we have no clue what they are and how they're going to be used. All these things have a good and a bad side, the yin and the yang, right? Benefits and threats. And we have to learn how to make the best use of the benefits for the good of humanity, for the good of society, for the good of ourselves, for the good of the business, and how to mitigate against the threats. And that's what we've got to learn to do. Generative AI is nothing to be frightened of, and I think we will start to use generative AI, which is about having a software that helps us write things, summarize things, argue about things. I liken it to when the calculators first appeared, and everyone, shock, horror, you know, how can we let calculators into the classroom? How do we trust the answers it comes up with? Well, of course, it's garbage in, garbage out, as ever. And now we have, you know, a finance industry run by computers. So all the old ways of doing things by hand, the ledger systems have all gone. But we've got more jobs than we ever had before in the finance industry. And we'll see this around generative AI. I think we're all going to be very relieved not to have to write essays about things. It will help us be more creative. But you need to view it as an adjunct, right? Augmenting what we do and not taking over, because it's not clever enough to take over. But the advantages of having the system, just take the legal industry, summarizing the huge amount of work that people have to absorb, and creating, predicting whether to take a case on or not, whether you think you can win in this circumstance. And I see a future where AI becomes part of the team that's deciding how to deal with a legal case, or how to deal with a medical diagnosis, or how to deal with a problem pupil at school. We'll have teams, and AI will be part of that team, and we'll ask the AI questions, and it'll come back with answers. But it's really important that we see it as something that is augmenting human intelligence and not taking control, because at the moment it can't, because the answers are not, we can't trust the answers. The data that's going into the generative AI is very biased. If it's being trained on the internet, a lot of it's incorrect. We have this lovely term hallucinating. It will make things up if it doesn't know the answer. We can't trust it yet. So we have to think of it, I think, as part of the team, part of what we do, and using it to help us be more productive, more creative, and have a better working life, actually. Maybe shorter work. Maybe we'll get a 4-day week out of all this. In the book I co-wrote with Kieran O'Hara called Four Internets, we talk about the geopolitical forces that are causing the fragmentation of the internet today. And the same geopolitical forces are playing out as AI emerges, being trained on the data that emerges from the internet. And those are really, in a nutshell, the US is where all the big Western companies are in the Western world, and that's very market force led, because the big companies are on the West Coast. They lobby the East Coast in Washington to get the rules and regs they need to help their companies make money. And you're seeing that play out with AI today, where Biden just had the meeting with the vice presidents of the big tech companies to talk to them about how we regulate AI. Self-regulation, is that a good idea? We don't know. We can argue the issues around data protection, privacy, trust and security, but we can only partially influence, because the companies outside of Europe don't have to abide by these rules, and it's only when they're trading within Europe that they have to worry about them. So we have some soft power there, but we don't have the market-led power they do in the US. And then moving further around the world, of course, you come next to, I'll just skip over India for a minute. You come next to China, where we know that it's a longer story than this, but their approach is from the very beginning of the internet has been about using this technology, firstly, to help people communicate, but secondly, and perhaps more predominantly these days, for surveillance and to control. And we see that creeping into our world as well. And this is I see threats to the democratic process. And autocrats do well in this sort of data control world, and we've got to think very hard about what that means for us and our lives and our businesses. And then, so that is all underpinned by the original open internet, which is still there. The open protocols, TCP/IP, were invented 50 years ago next year. That still runs. So that's our internet number one. And then we've got the US, Europe, China models on top of that. And it's how they all fit together. And can we keep the internet running technically with the global agreement on the technical protocols, because nothing works if they goes. We don't have a global internet then, and AI is running on top of that, and that's going to put further political pressure on this whole ecosystem. Well, it's so frustrating, because I wrote my first paper about the lack of women in computing in 1987, when we were beginning to teach computer science degree courses at Southampton, and we arrived one October at the university and realised we had no girls registered on the courses, no women registered on the courses. So us women in computing then started talking about why, and there were lots of reasons. It was partly because the personal computer had come out and they were seen as toys for the boys, and that really changed the culture of computing since then in the West. Yeah, it's not so true in India and Malaysia and other Southeast Asian countries, but in the West, the computing is very much seen as something rather nerdy, that only the geeks do, and a lot of girls don't want to be involved in that when they come to do their GCSE choices, and it goes wrong from them. We haven't managed to change, despite many attempts. We haven't managed to change that culture. So here we are, nearly 40 years later, and we still have a very male-dominated computing industry. even though everybody in the world, including the more than 50% females in the world, we have a very male or dominated industry. Women are very much not part of the design and development of the computers and software, and we apply them, we use them, but we're not part of the design and the discussions about future technologies. The AI is even worse than that, because if you're going to get into the world of machine learning, if you're going to get into the world of machine learning programming, you've really got to have a mathematics or a computer science degree to be able to go into that. And so we're taking a very male-dominated a very male-dominated sector and pushing that into an even more male-dominated pipeline to AI. But of course, I argue very much that AI is much broader than just machine learning program. We have to apply it. We have to think about the ethics and the values and the wonderful opportunities, as well as the threats that we might need to mitigate against. That needs a real diversity of voices. It needs the whole of society to be involved in that. It's not just about gender balance. It's about all, age and ethnicity and culture and people with disabilities being able to use the technologies and creating level playing fields. And we need so many disciplines involved in developing the way we use these systems. We need lawyers, and we need the philosophers, and we need the psychologists, and we need the people who know how to run businesses, and we need the historians. We need so many different voices here, and that's why my take on this world is that we have to think of it as a socio-technical world to really understand what's going on. So we need diversity in every way.